Welcome back, you guys, for another podcast. This week is going to be everyone's favorite. We are going to be cruising Lash Artist Lounge groups all over Facebook and commenting and sharing stories. So I'm so excited. We have our OG group with us. We have Christine and Karanda. Welcome, everyone. And just a friendly reminder before we start, we don't run ads on the show. So if you want to give us a share, that's how we spread the love, because I know what it's like being a lash artist and receiving an ad about, an energy drink or something. And you're like, I just want to listen to this podcast. So please give us a share if you liked it, if it made you laugh or it taught you something. So spread the word. All right, well, let's begin. Karanda, why don't you start us off?
Okay. Let me see what I can. Oh my gosh. Wait, this one's hilarious. Okay. This one's a tweet from a lash girl. And she said, not a joke. My lash girl is a goth girl and her timer alarm is the sound of ghosts.
Oh my gosh.
Can you imagine you're just like getting your lashes done and all of a sudden it's like, ooh.
You're like mid-sleep too.
Yeah. That lash nap hits hard. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I can only imagine. I would jump. I'd be startled for sure.
I'm a little bit of a goth girly too, but my timer alarm is not ghosts. That would probably scare me if I was asleep.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
That's a good one.
I guess that goes though. I mean, I'm sure, because we talk a lot about marketing when you're on your social media, really like presenting who you are and building a relationship or perceived relationship with people who might come to you for services. And that's one of those things, I guess, you find those people you love and there you go. So I'm assuming her clients are like, can I get used to that one?
Yeah. They're like, ooh, I love that. What is that?
Right.
Hey, I use that same alarm.
Yeah. That's true. You attract what, or they come back if they like it.
That's so funny.
Okay, here's one for you, Alexis. Okay,
so
Here's a question that's posted in this group, and it says, question, when doing mega volume sets, how many of you count each lash in each fan and who doesn't? I'm interested to know what you think. Have you ever counted to make sure you're getting enough lashes in there for mega volume?
Oh my gosh. I don't count. I kind of just eyeball it. Like if it looks like a nice big fan, like to me that qualifies as mega volume. And then obviously like throughout it, like once I get towards the end, I kind of search through and I make sure they're all big fans. And I kind of like take the average. I'm like, oh, this one looks like a 10D. This one looks like a 12D, 14. And I'm like, oh, but it looks like I've done more 12Ds. This is like a 12D set. I think counting, but this is just me, like time is money. Like, I just don't have time to sit there and like, when I'm making a fan, be like, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like just to make sure it is that exact amount.
Well, and here's the thing too, I'm guessing like mega volume too is a little bit of kind of, I mean, I know there's kind of like approximately, like volume is 2D to 10D, and then mega volume is like, more than 10 lashes in the fan or starting at about 10D. But quite frankly, I would say mega volume is a lot about making sure, like you were mentioning, that full coverage and making sure you're getting every viable lash that you can, and more about the mapping too, to make sure that there is absolute full coverage.
Oh, totally. I mean, honestly, the mapping is the key, because when you're getting into mega volume and Russian volume, it's actually layered lash maps that really can create the mega volume look without even crazy huge fans too. So yeah, I would say there's so many techniques to it. So just counting and being like, okay, like I have to make sure these are all 12D, like that's not going to sell your set, versus like you said, the coverage and the mapping and all that. So I mean, there's mega volume classes. We have one. I would encourage anyone who feels like, oh, I'm doing these 12D, 14D fans and it still doesn't look like mega volume, it might be your mapping, that's not giving you that look. And we can link that to the show today for upcoming classes. But yeah, I would say for sure that mapping is, because honestly, I can do an 8D to 10D set. And if I have really good mapping with all the layers and the coverage, it looks like a mega volume.
Okay. I'm seeing so many stories about people, like horror stories about lash girls spilling glue in people's hair. Like, how is that even possible? I feel like if you're using a glue with a good viscosity for your area, you shouldn't be spilling glue. How does that happen?
Okay, Karanda, not everyone's perfect, okay?
Come on, Alexis. I know you have some good stories.
All right, spill the tea, spill the glue.
No, spill, yeah, right? I'm like,
spill the glue. Yeah, I've done it, and I've done it several times. Because like what happens is sometimes, especially when you work on a tile, I mean, I guess I don't use a ring. So, the rings that you put on your fingers, I mean, that almost seems more risky to me, but everyone swears it's not. But like, you kind of get carried away by making a fan and then you dip it. And then like, sometimes you get like glue on your hand and then you like rest your elbow or, I rested my elbow into the glue and then I've like put it over and it's gotten stuck in their hair. So I've done that.
Not only did you get glue in their hair, but you glued your elbow to their hair.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, how did you get it off? Did you?
I had to use remover.
Okay.
But I will tell you, the one that haunts me to this day. Okay, it like haunts me because it was my first year lashing. I was working at this lash place. They kind of do like, high-end people, and she, her husband was well known in the area. He was like a big CEO for this company. She was a big deal. And I can't remember, I think her hair, she like flicked her hair and it got in my glue, So it was kind of her fault, Karanda. Okay. Like, don't be just saying it's us lash artists over here.
True. I talk about big clients. Like, don't be flipping your hair, ladies.
Oh, okay. I totally took my mini scissors and like cut it, and I didn't say anything.
She's gonna listen to this right now.
I didn't say her name. She'll never know.
Could you tell?
But yeah, it was like a
was
little...
it a ton of hair or is like a little bit of hair?
I mean, it was probably. I mean, it wasn't like, I went to cosmetology school. I kind of like feathered it and like made it blend. Okay, it wasn't like huge, but it was like, probably like 30 strands of hair. I was,
Can you imagine you're laying on the table like right in the middle of your appointment and you hear snip, 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 snip? I would be like, hello. I came in for a fill, not a haircut.
I was like 19, okay? Give me a break. I was really scared,
And Alexis, maybe you can jump in on this, but like when I'm getting my lashes done, sometimes they'll like, I think they get like adhesive on their tweezers. And so they kind of make almost a cutting sound. Okay, now I'm going to be freaked out. They're cutting my hair.
Yeah, I just ruined it for everyone, I'm sure. But yeah, I actually have people ask me when I'm like getting glue off my tweezers. They're like, are you cutting my lashes? And I'm like, no, but I have cut hair before.
Like, why would I be cutting your lashes, girlfriend? I feel like there's certain things that everybody's kind of like, oh yeah, that's normal. Like that happens to everybody. Like maybe getting glue spilled in your hair. For me, it's like, it's very rare if I leave an appointment. My lashes are like very thick and long and curly, which is a blessing. They're just sparse, but it's very rare if I leave an appointment and they haven't glued one or two lashes onto my bottom eye. And so like,
yeah,
a lot of the time I'll leave and I'm like, oh no, my eye was glued shut. And some people are like, that's never happened to me. But then they're like, yeah, but my lash artist spills glue in my hair. So I'm like, nobody's perfect.
No lash artist is perfect. I mean,
you either
honestly,
get glue in your hair or you get your eye glued shut.
Bottom lashes is a lot easier to fix than the glue in the hair, though. I will admit to that one.
True.
But I now know. So if anyone's wondering, remover works great in your hair. It will just slide the glue on out. I mean, you have to let it sit there and kind of work it out, but it's better to have the conversation. Yeah. I just put the cream remover in that little area that I got, maybe it was just like a little portion. And sometimes it's mostly on the ends, especially if they flick their hair, like somehow the ends just get in. So I'll just put some remover and let it sit there the rest of the appointment. And then at the end, we'll just kind of take it out.
And the cream remover doesn't harm their hair at all, right?
No, I mean, I'm sure, it's a chemical, so it's not like it's like amazing for your hair, I'm sure, but it's not going to like singe it off or anything.
Okay. I have one. Okay.
Ooh.
Okay. And this, I wish you guys could see this picture right now. So literally it's a lady who's all taped up with her lashes and everything, like she's in mid-appointment and she's got her feet straight up in the air. Okay. She's like on the lashing table, feet straight up in the air. And it says, does anyone else have clients that do yoga while you lash them? I can't make this up. Laugh out loud. Oh my gosh. Okay. So crazy things people have done while you're lashing them. And go, Alexis.
I've never had yoga. Usually what happens daily is people's conversations when they're on the phone, you know what I mean, to other people. You're kind of like, we're not alone in this room. Or like, even if we are, like, why are you telling people this? Like the other day, one of my clients comes in and she's like, talking about to her financial advisor, she's like, transfer the 5 million into this account and take it out of this, this, and let's make sure
that 5 million into my account,
right? Yeah. And transfer that 5 million into me.
Exactly. And I'm kind of like, I definitely undercharge you. But like everyone that was in the salon totally heard this lady's whole financial report, and just like things people do, I'm just like, why are you doing that? But yoga, can you imagine trying to keep someone like to hold still and their legs are like moving?
Oh my gosh.
It'd be like chasing them with tweezers.
If you're looking for a good time, go listen to our first episode where we did this. And one of our lash girls said that she had a client who used to like touch herself intimately while she was doing her lashes.
My gosh.
Do you guys remember that as as a comfort like mechanism? And I was like, yeah, obviously you want to make your space comfortable, but that is like maybe a tiny bit extreme.
I kind of want to bust out the song right now.
Yeah, you can.
Well, I'll try refrain. The song keeps popping in my head though, is that I think we're alone now. You know what I'm talking about, right?
I totally do.
I was like, what song are you going to bust into about touching yourself during a lash appointment? I would love to hear that.
I know, we'll have to ask her lash artist.
That would be hilarious though. Okay, Alexis, you're up.
So this person asked that they're starting to get they're starting to get back pain, and they're wondering which chair or what they can do to help better their posture while lashing. So, I know there's saddle chairs versus regular chairs, and I know there's even the yoga balls that are out there.
What about the yoga ball chairs that are like half yoga ball on top?
Yes, I've seen those too, and I've heard awesome things. So, but the problem is I feel like you actually have to try them all, which I know, hopefully people can return their items or things like that. But I feel like you don't know until you try, just like anything. If you're having neck problems or anything like that, you have to kind of try a bunch of things that may or may not work.
When it's so individual, again, I know we've been talking about things that are individualized for different people, but I swear, something that works for one person is not necessarily going to work for somebody else.
Yeah. Even being pregnant, I've had to switch my chair out 3 times, and it's like 3 months of, oh, this chair's working great. And then after that 3 months, it's like over, and now it's too late to return this chair.
Yeah.
So that's been hard, but it's to lash while having like pain, or even just like other people's jobs while they're sitting and having pain. It's so hard.
Well, and I'm just gonna plug this in here, but one thing I mean, and this is a little aside from chairs because it won't remedy your chair situation, but also part of it could be like speed. You know, you've got to get through your sets faster. And I know that's like super easy for me to throw out there, but I was thinking of another one of our educators, and she's a little older in the industry, and she was having a lot of issues with arthritis. And so she actually switched. And I know I'm going to say this and people are going to have a reaction, positive or negative, they're going to have a reaction, but she switched to using pre-made fans because then she could expedite her sets. And so she was getting people in and out for mega volume fills in 60 minutes. So it allowed her to save her hands too, all those fine motions. And maybe if you can do some things like that, even if you just mix a couple in or whatever, but you know, speeding your lash timing up so that you're not sitting for long periods, or even putting bigger breaks in between clients to give you a chance to just stand up and stretch.
Yeah, I totally agree. Because I mean, once again, going back to my pregnancy, but I switched to pre-made fans for towards the last month or two, everyone, because it's so uncomfortable to sit there, like you said, more than an hour, because usually by then I'm about to pee my pants in only an hour. And like everything, and Christine, you can like talk about like this, but like when you're pregnant, your body just like feels very like loose and like relaxed, but like it's hard to hold positions. Like my shoulders start to ache, but they're almost like trying to relax. It's so weird. But when I'm like having to make handmade fans, I have to be more like clenched. Yeah. And the loose fans really help me with that.
So I would say, yes, you need to find a good chair, and it's going to be personal. Listen to people, listen to their recommendations, and then maybe even like try a couple chairs, look at their return policies, but then also find ways to either, you know, using some pre-made fans here and there to speed up your process, or even getting a faster adhesive, like a half-second dry time adhesive to get you moving quicker. And then also schedule breaks. All of those things are going to help.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Okay, I have a question about this because I've only been in the lash industry like since pre-mades have been out. Like, I feel like there's definitely a stigma that some people don't like them. Do you think it's because like they aren't getting good pre-mades? Do you think it's because they think that like handmades look better? Do you think it's because they think like pre-mades look like they came from a machine? Do you know why that is, Alexis?
Yeah, I mean, when pre-mades first came out, they were very cringeworthy. Like you would look at them and you're like, ooh, these bases, they're super thick. They don't bond well to the natural lash. So a lot of lash artists kind of have that in their mind. And it's, you know, been around. I would say pre-mades have been around for like 6-7 years. So, you know, over when they were so terrible, we were all talking about how terrible they were, right? So now we have the, you know, new lash artists, but also the OGs out there, and we're all, you know, they all have their opinion, but it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks, right? It's hard to hand someone when something's gotten better, like these pre-mades that we talk about that get so much better now, and they don't look like that, and their bases are thin, and they're actually made by hand. Like our pro-mades are made by hand. Like we have people that are making them. But that being said, like it's so ingrained in their head that they're so bad, it's hard to like be like, here, look how awesome these are. They'll always have something to say and it's kind of this is hard too, because people think they're taking away the artistry. You know, you're no longer a lash artist, you're just a lash tech.
Well, and I think too, like I had a conversation with another one of our educators, and she's like, you know, I have spent years and years perfecting my artistry and like making fans, and all of the money I've spent on education and all of that kind of stuff. And she gets a little bugged when people use the pre-mades, and I can see it from her perspective too. But I also see how they can be so useful for maybe someone who is short on time, or maybe someone who is having issues with arthritis or is pregnant or anything else like that, or maybe someone who hasn't had the opportunity yet to really take, a volume and a mega volume class, but they want to be able to offer those services, and they're really, really good at isolation, and they want to learn those things. Because let's face it, I feel like you'll do better with the pre-mades if you've had that background of the volume and the mega volume education. So if you know how to make fans and things like that, I feel like, and the mapping that you get with those advanced courses, you're only going to be better in using the pre-mades too.
Right. Yeah. And I think if you are using ones that are handmade pre-mades versus like machine made pre-mades, where the bases are thinner and they're fanned out by hand, and you can see like exactly the definition that you're getting. It's better, I guess, than using like machine made ones. I hadn't even I don't know. I haven't spent a lot of time looking at other companies' pre-mades, but if you can get bases that look like they're handmade, and it's going to save you some time for sure, especially if you're in a case like that one lash artist that we have that is arthritic, or if you struggle with your timing. But I totally understand from the other point of view too, that like you spend a lot of money and you've spent a lot of time perfecting your fans, and you may as well, use that.
Yeah. It's such a fine balance. And I feel like honestly, we have an episode that's just about pre-mades, but until either you need them, like me being pregnant, I didn't realize how honestly amazing they were, because I can make handmaids. I can do that. Like, I didn't want people to think, something of, oh, Alexis uses pre-mades. Yeah. So until like, you've been lashing for so long and you can do it, and then like all of a sudden you can't, you realize like, just because I'm doing it a certain way and they're still receiving the same look, I think people should be more open-minded. And also to the lash, artist that is making them by hand, and people with just only using pre-mades, they should be like, wow, that's so cool, they're making them by hand as well.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. I absolutely agree.
Yeah, I love that. I love that question, Karanda, because I just feel like that's that's probably the biggest like topic in our industry, right? It's just those two things bumping heads at all times.
Right. Maybe it's like a matter of just opinion or how long you've been going, but it is important that like the whole industry, we all just need to judge less and support each other more. And if you want to do pre-mades, do pre-mades. If you want to do handmaids, do handmaids. If you want to work with kids, work with kids. If you want to take a break when you have kids, take a break. Like, all love, all support.
I will say, and this is crazy, this literally just happened last week, and I don't know if you guys remember this, but someone called customer service and they said, hey, these lashes look different than the last batch. These ones look more wide. And they were our pro-made fans, which are handmade. So we had to explain to them, like, yeah, we can go through and make sure they're the width you want. But like, let's just mention this again, like that person made them by hand. They're not machine made. So that's why they're all different shapes and sizes in those loose boxes, is because that person is sitting there all day making fans and fans and fans. And they think, a little bit wider. And then the person next to them is probably making them more narrow. So it's hard to also, with that quality control for our end, when they're not made by a machine, it's so beautiful that it is handmade. But
right.
it's just opinion too at that point.
Yeah, true. But I feel like a slight amount of diversity, not like hugely, but slightly amounts of diversity with like varying fans makes your set look a little bit more defined and authentic. Like if all of your bases were the same and they use the same amount of fans every time, then they can start to look kind of like a machine did them, or like that strip lash look.
Totally. And I do get like, I'm sure there's, someone is having an off day and you're like, what is this box? But, like we said, like, I mean, we even have off days and we're making them by hand or, things like that. So it's just, I mean, I've said this before, but if you haven't tried them, I feel like until you've tried it, like, you can't knock it until you try it. And same with making them by hand. Like, I feel like until you take a mega volume course and invest in yourself to learn how to make, gorgeous big fans, so you can see what those lash artists are doing, you can't knock it.
Totally.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the funniest tweet. Listen to this. This woman said, "Get you a boy that goes out on a night out and gets girls to follow your lash page." Can you imagine?
That is so cute.
Hi, in a club walking around and all these women are like, "Hey boy," and he's like, just got his phone out and he's like, "This is my wife's lash page. Follow it." Like, if I saw that man in a club, I would be like, "You are so loyal. Let me follow that lash page, and also let me go see your girl and tip her 500%. Like, that is the cutest thing I've ever seen.
So much respect for that man. Like, he deserves, like, some fist bumps. Like, how cool would that be if you were like building a clientele and like whoever you're dating or married to is just like out there, like, getting clients too.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love this king. What a man.
When we go out to dinner, my husband now, he can identify like bad lashes though. Like the waitress, he's like, "Oh my gosh, we should give him your card." I'm like, "No, I'm not taking any new clients." But he's like, "Oh, those just don't." Or like when they look good, he's like, "Oh, she has a good lash artist." And when he was in dental school, a lot of his girl classmates would get them. And that's how he would like start a conversation with them. He said is like, "Oh, you get your lashes done. My wife does lashes," and just like would start talking about it.
Okay, funny story here. So my son, who is 14, so he had an English teacher he had a student teacher, right? And he was talking about her one day and granted, he didn't love her. Let's just put it that way. But he's like, "Mom, she just has weird lashes." And I'm like, I look at him, and my other kids were sitting around him as well. And I'm like, that I have, lash extensions too, right? He goes, "Yeah, but yours look normal. Hers look weird." And then my other little boy looks at me. He goes, "You have fake lashes?" Like he didn't even know. So yes, there is a difference in lash artists.
Oh,
and
hugely.
Even boys know.
Yeah. And if you have like somebody in your life that you're already not vibing with, and then they have weird lashes, then like juju gets worse.
Right?
If they have bad lashes, get them out of your life. What are you doing?
We don't have room for that in our lives.
Yeah.
Okay, it would be so funny, whether it's like Ty or somebody else, we should do an episode with like husbands who have had wives that have lashed for like 5 or 6 years, and then like, I don't know, see if we can like tell them a term and they like know what it is. Or we ask them like, "Okay, what's the difference between volume and classic?" and see if they know just from like listening to their wife do it for the last 5 years. That would be hilarious. We could do like Family Feud, but husbands.
Oh, that's
yes. Well, I have a video of Ty making a fan, and it's hilarious. Like he's like, "I take this point and I swish it and flick it," and I'm like, "Yeah, that's totally what you do right there."
Swish it and flick it.
I have one. I think you guys could definitely help with. She said, "I need a website, but I'm being told it costs over $7,000. I just need something simple that I can sell."
Is she hiring like Jeff Bezos to do her website?
Right?
Yeah. Okay. Where would you tell her to start so she doesn't have to spend that $7,000 on a website?
So first off, Square makes it so you can make accounts on Square for free. Guess what? They also let you make a website for free. The only way it costs is if you like want a personalized URL. So like say your name is I don't know, Laura or whatever. And so if you wanted like lashesbylaura.com, then you would have to pay for the domain and then $6 a month. Otherwise, if you're okay with one that's like .square, you can have a completely free website, and it's literally like drag, drop, click, and enter your information. Like super, super simple.
Yeah, no, for real. It feels like online scrapbooking. Like it's like add picture, add text. Like that's how they are.
It is so simplistic. And especially if you use Square for booking, then it ties right into your Square booking page and everything. Totally free. You could probably put together a website within a couple of hours, especially if you just need something super simple. Also, and that will give you like, you can have a gallery, you can link your Instagram feed to it. You can
add like a contact page or an about me page.
Yeah. And they have templates that are kind of already set up for some of those pages. And you can have a contact page. You can even have a map to your location on there, which it does it all built in by your location. So no, do not pay $7,000 for a website. Quite frankly,
I want to message this girl and be like, put your wallet down, baby. What are you doing?
No, pay me $7,000 to do your website, please. Yeah, hand it over. I'm not kidding. Like, I mean, because in a different life, I built websites and everything. And at most I charged like around $2,000. And that was for a website because I was writing all of the content and using and, paying for all of like the stock images and all of that kind of stuff. Heavens, use Canva for your stock images because you can get a bunch for free, and use Square and it's free, and spend a couple hours.
Right.
Yes, I saw that and I was like, wait, stop the conversation, you guys. $7,000.
That's ridiculous.
Girl, you can get like stock up everything for your salon probably twice with $7,000. Like, what are you? Oh, don't put that into a website.
No, don't.
No.
Okay, now that we've like said that one, I have one. Okay. Here we go. Hi, everyone. I'm wondering if anyone knows how prenatal vitamins and fertility drugs, not IVF, but I don't have the specifics yet, affect retention and hair growth. I have a friend/client who had some poor retention that I associated with change in humidity and seasons. Last I saw her was right around when the weather and humidity started changing in my area. And when I saw her yesterday for dinner, she mentioned she was taking a bunch of stuff because she was trying to get pregnant. I'm doing a new set on her next week and just wanted to make sure she's not spending money for lashes that won't last due to fertility drugs.
I love lash artists that go out of their way to try and make sure like every client and every set is successful. Like, she definitely would not need to care, but that's so cute that she does.
Yeah.
That is that. I would agree. I've noticed, even just with me with prenatals, and I'm sure Christine, once again, you can speak on this. You've had 5 kids, but like, it definitely does speed up your hair growth cycle and all of that. And then same with after you have the baby, it messes that up too. So like, I feel like for a whole year, maybe year and a half, like your cycle is just not going to be consistent.
Well, and hormones. Okay. So here we go. We're going to have a little lesson here on
biology.
Sit down.
Okay. So one of the things for those that have had babies, I'm sure they realized, and Alexis, you're probably feeling like this right now. Your hair is amazing when you're pregnant.
Yes.
Amazing.
But it's growing so fast too.
It's growing so fast and it's so thick. And that's because your hair. So, normally like you lose a certain amount of hair every day, right? You lose a certain amount of lashes, you lose a certain amount of hair every single day. But what happens when you're pregnant is, for whatever reason, and I'm sure a doctor could get on here or a scientist and tell us exactly why. I just know it happens. I'm not going to get into the specifics about it, but basically what happens is that process stops. So instead of losing all that hair every day, it doesn't fall out. And you've probably noticed that, Alexis, like when you brush your hair, you're not losing as much hair. Yeah, there's still maybe a couple strands that come out, but you are not losing as much hair.
Wow, it doesn't make me want to get pregnant.
Okay, but we'll get to the side effect of this though in just a second. So what happens is your hair is like super thick. It's growing super fast. It feels like, because of all the prenatal vitamins too that you're taking. But it's not falling out. So your hair is just like amazing when you're pregnant. But then what happens is that as soon as you have your baby, about 2-3 months after you have your baby, all that hair that you would have lost really slowly over a 9-month period all starts coming out at one time.
Well, I will say even just like how fast they grow.
Yeah.
Like right now, it's kind of hard with retention too, just because they are just growing, and your lash cycle's only so long versus your hair. So they are falling out more frequently.
Yep.
I personally feel like, and it's more oily. Like, like you're just producing so much stuff. Your hormones are just whack.
Yeah, your hormones, they literally go crazy. I mean, I remember watching stupid commercials when I was pregnant, and I'm just like crying. Commercials, Hallmark Channel is really dangerous when you're pregnant. That's all I have.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So your hormones are going crazy. And so absolutely that is going to affect retention. You may have to try changing the adhesives. You may need to, if you don't offer like a pre-wash of lashes before service, you may need to, like Alexis said, skin oils kind of change. Everything. So, when you do have pregnant clients or clients who are taking fertility drugs that are going to mimic a lot of the hormones that are happening when someone is pregnant, you are going to have to warn them that their retention, I'm not saying don't lash them. Absolutely. Pregnant women need lashes too. Come on.
Yeah, come on.
But my point is have a conversation, be open and have a conversation with your clients. Let them know that, you know what? Yeah. Any medication. I even notice like when, because I have seasonal allergies, so I stopped taking my allergy medication over the winter. And I noticed when I started taking my allergy medication for a couple of months, like while my body was readjusting to it, I had crappy retention. And my lash artist was freaking out because she was like, is it the adhesive? Is it the seasonal change or the this or the that? And I'm just like, probably not. It's just medication changes and changes with also allergy season. So I was rubbing my eyes more and all of those kinds of things. But medications can have a huge impact on retention. So I think you need to be honest and open with your clients. And if they are having some bad retention, talk to them about it. Say, are you taking different medications? Is there something going on in your life? Are you having allergies? Are they crying more? Do you know what I mean? Just like, and not so much the tears as just like, rubbing their eyes and all of those kinds of things. What's going on in their lives as well that could be affecting the changes in their lash cycles, and hormones are absolutely going to be doing that.
Well, even menstrual cycles, I've just noticed like when they have a super heavy period and, like when you have those bad periods, you're hot more, like just those kind of things totally affect retention. And that's what's so hard is like my clients would be like, I have 2 good fills and then I have 1 really bad one. And I'm like, yeah, you probably have 1 really bad like period cycle. I know that sounds crazy, but it's just like our hormones fluctuate.
Right. Well, and also like something that I didn't know up until recently is that like the different skin types like will hold retention differently, not even just in like dry or oily skin, whatever. But, so if you've never seen me in person, I'm Polynesian, so my skin is darker, and my, lash artist told me that like, typically, people with more melanin also tend to have more collagen. So my retention sucks. Like I pay so much in fills and it's worth it to me because they look good, but it also is like, okay, I'm like doling out a forkload on fills, but I also like don't think I'll wrinkle until I'm probably like 50 or 60. So if you have a lot of collagen in your skin too, usually it's harder to keep lashes in if it's like more oily or your skin has that more elasticity, right? But then you may be paying a lot now, but it'll come back later on when your friends are wrinkly and you're not.
Yeah, I'll be jealous of you.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Okay.
So,
I was just going to say, I just found one more, unless you have a good one, Alexis, and then we should
I was going to say, we should have a grand finale right now.
Okay. I have one.
Okay.
Okay. Here we go. Seasoned lash artist here. Has anyone implemented a no talking rule? The longer I do this, the less I care to know people. Like, shut up and just let me do your lashes. I never know anymore if someone wants to get to know me. It feels like damned if I do, damned if I don't. I'm needing to change a few practices in my biz. Don't mind giving me your tips in the comments below. Gracias. Okay, first of all, okay, I know the lash art is like personal preference, but if someone's like, the less I care to know people, that's not the person I'm going to pick to go to.
Well, yeah. What about you, Karanda? What's your thoughts on this?
Okay, this is so funny to me because I love talking. Like, I love to talk to people, right? I'm like just so bubbly and so talkative, but I also understand that like this is what could be like, this is considered a luxury service, even though to everyone that has lashes, it's a necessity, right? Yeah. But like, if this is your luxury service and you're paying X amount of money for 2 hours away from your family and away from your kids and away from your coworkers and your boss to treat yourself, I totally understand if like the client doesn't want to talk too. So it's not really fair to be like, oh, well, you know, the client can decide that they don't want to talk, but the lash artist has to talk the whole time. I don't know. You are doing a service for them, but you don't need to be like entertaining them if they don't want to. But then if somebody comes in, for some people, this is like their 2 hours a week that they don't want to talk. But then for some people, this is their 2 hours a week that they do want to talk. I think that in order to graduate cosmetology school, everybody needs like a therapeutic license because you get told like heavy stuff. So that is really interesting. You have to have your boundaries, and you also need to like, you know, keep the mood light and fun, and you don't want to be carrying things from people all day, but also you want to show that you're like trustworthy and invested in their lives. So I don't know. I'm also kind of on the fence about that one.
Yeah, I would say it's up to the client. Honestly, she probably doesn't want to hear that. Like I have my AirPods next to me. So they come in and they are quiet and they just want to sleep. You know, I let them sleep. If they come in and they want to get to know me and I obviously ask them questions back and all that, like, then, you know what I mean? Like, that's just kind of like, I fill it out based on them because you're right, because they're the ones paying for the service. So, you know, and there's some days I don't want to talk and people can probably tell because I'm a little bit shorter with my answers and then they end up drifting, but I would never, you know, oh, okay. I take that back. I have told one client, oh man, she's not allowed.
Let me do your lashes.
Appointments. She is this, you know, I won't say her real name, but you know, Sally was not allowed to talk during her lash appointments because she was on a roll. Like she would open them, close them, twitch, talk with her hands, move her gel patches. So like, it was to the point where like, and I said it super nicely. If you're like ever wondering how to say it nicely, like you can just be like, look, like I love chatting with you. And if you ever want to go get coffee and sit down and chat at like a Starbucks, I would love to go and do that with you. But like, you are so energetic and you are, you know, you move your hands a lot that I have to like lash one extension onto one natural lash. And when you move, it's going to take me so much longer and I'm so sorry. And usually at that point they respect it, but you know, this girl didn't. So finally I had to like compliment her. I was like, look, I can tell you're so like ambitious and you're like, you know, going places in life. Cause like, that's what she wanted to talk about. And she just would move and hit things. And so I was like, I can just tell like you're type A and all these things. And so it's really hard for you to lay here. But that being said, like I cannot lash you while you talk because you move so much and I'm so sorry. Like I apologize because I wanted her to know, like, I don't know, I'm fine blaming it on me. So she just doesn't move.
And that's one of the comments on this. That's funny because they were talking about, moving because it can move the eye patch. And if your eyes are moving, it is like, it's a moving target with sharp tweezers and stuff. And I totally get that. but on the other hand, like being with someone who has basically instituted a no talking policy because she wanted to listen to her podcast and whatever. And I get it. Like I said, the moving eyes. And then with someone who actually talks and we have conversations while she's doing my lashes. One thing I will say is when you are there with your lashes and your eyes all taped shut and you can't see anything and you can't do anything for like an hour, hour and a half, whatever it is, you know, that puts you in a super vulnerable position. And so I also think like lash artists need to realize that their clients may feel super vulnerable. I think that's why some people hate going to the dentist, because you're like laying there and people are putting sharp things in your mouth and you can't really see. And it's a super vulnerable position. And so while I understand it is very difficult and sometimes you just want to tell people to shut up, and it may not be because their eyes are bouncing all over. I mean, like you were talking about, Alexis, where it was like a legitimate thing, but they just are like, I don't really care. I don't want to get to know people. I just want to do your lashes. So shut up and just let me do them. I know you may feel like that sometimes, but also understand that your clients are coming to you for a luxury service and they are laying there and they're probably feeling like super vulnerable. You can't see anything for the duration of the service. And it's kind of a you know, like I said, I mean, I know I keep using the word vulnerable, but it's kind of a, you know, you want to get to know the person so that you feel like they're not taking advantage of you and you're going to try and open your eyes and your eyes are going to be all glued shut and you're going to have glue in your hair and it's going to be cut and I'm just kidding. But, anyway, but just understanding from the perspective of the client who's getting their lashes done. So maybe you do kind of a hybrid of the two. If you're somebody who just does not want to talk and you have that kind of thought and feeling, maybe you kind of introduce yourself, kind of put them at ease, talk to them for a minute and say, okay, time to plug in your, you know, your podcast or you can listen to mine or whatever, so that you kind of have that little introduction, you're putting them at ease, having those conversations, but then you can move into a period where there isn't talking so that you can give them the best service possible.
Or even just having that conversation, like, you know, when you go and get a massage or a facial, they even kind of like say it super nicely, like, okay, like, you know, time to relax, or, you know, just like kind of prompting them to like, it's okay to, you know, just take a deep breath and enjoy the service if you don't want to talk, but like obviously set it up and make them feel comfortable at first.
I've seen people too that when you book online using a service like Gloss Genius or Square or whatever, that you can add on, and it's a free add-on, but it says silent appointment. And it says like, for this appointment, you would like no talking, you would like, you know, minimal interaction, and you plan on sleeping. And then it's just an add-on so that the lash artist can see before you get there. So you don't even need to say anything about it, like for your clients. Yeah. So maybe that's something people could try too. I thought that was genius.
It is.
That's so smart. You know, I will say though, this girl's probably different than me, but like getting to know my clients, like they've become, you know, just a part of your life. And like at my baby shower, it was a lot of my clients there. Like, yeah, there was like, you know, and everyone's like, because when we moved out here, I didn't have friends. So my clients became my friends. And so it's kind of funny that I had more of like my clients that I do lashes on than like my church community or anyone like that there, because I see them every 2-3 weeks and, you know, we get close in that way.
Absolutely. And they help you build your business. If they feel like you are more of a friend to them than just someone providing a service, chances are they're going to talk about you way more, and word of mouth is going to spread, and it's going to really help you build your business. So taking that time, even if it is just a couple of minutes at the beginning of every appointment, to really establish and create those relationships will create loyal clients who will defend you and who will talk about you and help you build your business.
Yeah, I mean, just like you said, you're building that, because if you raise your prices and someone down the road was their old price, but you have no relationship, why would they stay?
Yeah, they're going to dump you faster than, you know, day-old chicken nuggets.
Yeah, versus like, you know, those people that went to my baby shower, you know, have come over to my house or things like that. Like, you know, it's just more personal. And even when I'm going on maternity leave, they're like, can you still like send me pictures of the baby? And, they're just invested in your life. So, like if, after you have your baby or some life event, you wanted to go back to doing lashes, they'll probably come back to you versus, when you're like, oh, sorry, like, I don't even know who you are. I don't really care. They probably will, during that time you take off, we'll go find someone else.
Yep.
So, but I mean, oh, that's so hard because I'm not trying to be rude, but I mean, come on, that's why you're in this industry. I'll just be rude. You're in a people's industry, so you might be in the wrong industry. I'm sorry.
Maybe it's time to look at a career change. I'm just kidding.
That was a good one though. All right. Well, I feel like that is a great way to wrap it up. Christine has her 5 children she needs to get to. Coranda is going to Europe, right?
Woohoo, tomorrow.
I'm popping out a baby, hopefully today, but that's not going to happen. So whatever. So thank you guys so much for joining. And we're so excited. I personally, this is my favorite podcast to do because it's so fun. So many good laughs.
If anyone ever sees something funny that you want us to talk about, or like if you want to talk about it, whatever, send us a screenshot and be like, hey, I saw this. I want to be in the next Lash group, whatever. Because these really are so fun.
They are.
I hope they listen to.
Yeah, I love them. So anyway, yes. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you guys again soon. And don't forget to join our podcast, subscribe, like it, share it. Because like we said, we just do it because we like it. I mean, we could be sponsored and get ads and get paid, but we just do it because we like it. So, if it made you laugh or anything today, please just give us a share. That's how we grow the show. So thank you guys so much. We'll see you guys again soon.